you know, salt of the earth, and just love going to pay you a visit. I want to thank Colin for that introduction. And I just saw a good friend of mine, Grand Chief Linda. I think she's backstage. Wonderful person. Just she's just a visionary. That's what I can call Grand Chief Linda. It's great to see so many familiar faces here today, leaders and champions from across Ontario, working together to support our rural and northern communities. Rural Ontario is the engine of our provincial economy. It's home to more than 250,000 businesses, accounting for $116 billion in GDP, in critical industries like mining, forestry, and everything in between. But as we all know, President Trump's tariffs are threatening every part of our province, including rural Ontario. That's why our government has a plan to protect Ontario, a plan to stand up for every community in every corner of this great province. To do this, we're building an Ontario that is more competitive, more resilient, and more self-reliant, so we can stand up to tariffs, economic uncertainty, and whatever else comes our way. Folks, I always say we are an economic powerhouse. We never have to take a backseat to anyone, and we sure the heck don't have to take a backseat to President Trump. We're gonna keep going around, and each and every one of you play a critical role when you travel, making sure that everyone knows Ontario is the best place in the entire world to invest. And the reason we're the best in the world is because of our people. We have the smartest, the brightest, the most talented people anywhere in the world, and I'll put Ontarians up against anyone around the world. We are the best. Through our plan, we're cutting red tape, cutting taxes and fees, and investing in our world-class Ontario workforce. As a direct result of our efforts, and when I say our efforts, I want to make sure people understand when I say our, that means all of us, not just in this room, but all around Ontario. We're saving businesses and families $12 billion each and every single year, and 1.8 million working hours, rather than those 1.8 million working hours filling out endless government paperwork. We can reallocate them to an area that can be more productive than filling out government paperwork. We're also bringing in new investments to create jobs and protect workers. In fact, last year alone, we welcomed $28 billion in new investments from companies at home and abroad, and more than 56,000 new jobs. And I always explain this, and I want to thank Vic Fideli if he's here. He's our #1 salesperson that travels around the world. I don't know how he does it. One day he's in Asia, next day he's in Europe, South America, but thank you for all your hard work, Vic. I always say those jobs that were created in the 28 billion,
Camera is on.
know about. There's so many companies out there that are hiring 2, 3, 4 people, maybe buying a piece of equipment for $1 million. So we still have a great jurisdiction to invest in. People around the world look at Ontario as a safe haven. When I say safe haven, pro-business, pro-people, pro-worker, pro-labor union, and we all work together and we collaborate and cooperate. That's how we become and continue to be the greatest jurisdiction in the world to invest in. I want to take a moment here to address the federal government's decision to reduce tariffs on Chinese-made electric vehicles. I'm extremely, and I say extremely, disappointed by this decision, which will directly impact our auto workers and the supply chains that support them, including many rural areas. I've made my position very clear to the Prime Minister, and I'm doing so again today, because we need to be doing everything we can to support our auto workers. The federal government needs to step up by removing its EV mandate, harmonizing regulations with our trading partners, and scrapping unnecessary fees that drive away investments. Folks, you hear there's jobs coming. There's no jobs coming. I can assure you, you can remember this year after year after this year. To even make sure you break even, you have to be producing 220,000 autos. When you let the Chinese come in and we get nothing back, but they're paying their workers $6 an hour, that's probably a high rate, to compete against our great auto workers. I will continue to stand shoulder to shoulder with our auto workers and make sure we stand shoulder to shoulder with Unifor, the hardworking people that right now are out of a job in Brampton, in Oshawa, and Ingersoll, but we have the best autos in the entire world. And when you have cheap autos coming in, not to mention cybersecurity, and I don't even know how they're going to get across the border at $15,000 less than what we can manufacture, and promising they'll manufacture. Well, they aren't going to be manufacturing over 200,000 vehicles anytime soon here in Ontario. And that's the break-even point for any auto manufacturer here. And guess what, folks? 80 to 90% of those vehicles go south of the border. So I'm not too sure if President Trump wants Chinese spy vehicles coming across the border, but I'm betting the answer is no. You know, when you get on your cell phone, it's the Chinese that are going to be listening to your, and I'm not making this stuff up, they're going to be listening to your telephone conversation. I find it ironic that the Prime Minister is using a burner phone and all his staff over in China, but we're making a deal, it's Huawei 2.0, to come back into Canada, and we get nothing but potential job losses in our factories right across the board. And there's over 500,000 people that are employed in the auto sector. And that doesn't include all those families that go out and do their grocery shopping, buy clothes, maybe put an addition on their home. So this is a serious, serious matter. They say it's only 49,000 vehicles. Folks, it's really 33% of the EV sales in Canada. And once the camel gets his head in a tent, his whole body's in the tent, and you aren't getting rid of him. Remember this speech. And yes,
just so as anyone knows,
but anyways,
Doug Ford is wrong.
Anyways, folks, you know, you
Not
can play
the
this
end of the
back
world,
a
it's
few
the
years down the
beginning
road.
of
I can assure you
something
this
new.
is not a good move. But I'll never
Ontario's
apologize for standing up
business
for
is
our
not
auto
in that good
workers,
a
and I will
condition right
continue
now.
doing everything I can to protect their jobs and paychecks, including pushing the federal government to do the right thing. And I always say collaboration, cooperation, partnership. It was anything but a partnership. I found out about this deal, and the auto companies found out, by the way, a few hours before it was announced. So much for the partnership. In the meantime, we're creating new opportunities for Ontario workers by getting shovels in the ground on the roads to the Ring of Fire this summer. Just think of that. This summer, I already saw pictures of the big excavators coming up north, and they're going to stay there, and they're going to continue building the roads. The vast reserve of critical minerals, and this is a very, very conservative estimate, will add $22 billion to our economy and more than 70,000 jobs in industries across Ontario. It will transform northern and rural communities, as well as our great First Nations, with new jobs, economic opportunity, and investment, protecting our province from tariffs and economic uncertainty. I always say, stop worrying about Trump. Yeah, they're a big trading partner. We're their number one customer. We're their number one customer. But let's start focusing on what we can do. How we can get those critical minerals out of the ground by Ontario workers, refined here by Ontario workers, and shipped around the world to make sure we diversify our customers that we don't have right now, and we're too reliant on the U.S. And by the way, just to go on record, I do love the American people, and Americans love Canadians. We're also doubling down on more than $220 billion plan to build, which is the largest plan to build in Canadian history. We're building and expanding nuclear energy, as you heard from Leslie, great job at IESO, by refurbishing existing plants at Bruce, Pickering, and Darlington, building new nuclear power generation, and building the first small modular reactors in the G7. This plan will secure Ontario's place as an energy superpower with clean, reliable, and affordable energy to power our growth. Folks, where did this water come from? This is good. It's like I didn't even see him put it there. Oh, good. That's a refresher, I'll tell you. No, I forgot what I was just going to tell you guys. But oh yeah, okay, so with our American friends, and they are our friends, everyone I talk to down there, they need our energy. And they need it for the data centers and to make sure that they have enough energy to power their facilities and their homes. And I love what Minister Lecce is doing. He's like the Energizer Bunny, I call him. We're building over 16,000 megawatts. And the way you convert that, he always tells me that's equal to 16 million homes. And when we went down to New York, we had a conversation with the governor. We signed a great deal with their power authority in New York. And she was so happy, a wonderful person, by the way. The governor was so happy that they're building 1,000 megawatts. Think of that, 1,000 megawatts in the state of New York. I said, we're building 16,000 megawatts as we build out. And she couldn't believe it. She almost fell off her chair when I said 16,000 megawatts. But that is one of the commodities that they need, their energy. And we're going to continue building and continue being a super powerhouse when it comes to energy, leading the G7 when it comes to small modular reactors. Our plan also includes $30 billion over the next 10 years to repair and expand roads, highways, and bridges so we can keep communities connected, particularly in rural areas. Folks, as you know, I give my cell number to everyone, and it's been very disturbing to hear all the accidents up north. I get the calls right to my cell phone, and we're doing everything we can to twin roads, to put 2-in-1 roads, to make it safer, making sure that the roads get plowed and salted as quickly as possible, because there's been tragedies over the holidays, and no one wants that. So we're going to continue investing in rural roads and highways, investing like the North has never seen before. And I don't like being negative, but there's one quote that Vic Fideli always reminds me. The previous government, the Liberals, said, the North is a wasteland. The North is a wasteland. Well, I can tell you, we don't believe it's a wasteland. We think it's the greatest area to prosper and thrive and grow and attract businesses, no matter if it's the lumber, no matter if it's our energy that we're building or the Ring of Fire and everything else in between. There's no government, think of this, there's no government, and you just have to look on the records, that invested more in the North than our government, because we love the people in rural communities. We're investing $70 billion to build and expand transit. That includes $25 million over the next 5 years through the Ontario Transit Investment Fund to improve transit in rural communities. And I'm thrilled to confirm that later this year, we will be bringing back the Northlander. Folks, 14 years after it was canceled by the previous Liberal government, if you see these trains and you have an opportunity to even go on one, I encourage you to go on them. They're absolutely beautiful. They're comfortable. They're all connected. If you want to get on the Wi-Fi or whatever, they have meals that will come right to your seats. But this changes people's lives. Just think of that. It changes people's lives that don't have a mode of transportation or even a comfortable mode of transportation. You hop on the Northlander and it's going to change things in the North, not only personally for people that may want to hop on the train and go watch our Blue Jays win the pennant this year, or come down and watch a Leaf game. Yes, hopefully they're going to win the Stanley Cup. Okay, everyone. Actually, you know, a side story here is I called Premier Wob, which I think that guy's a champion, Wob Canoe, and we go back and forth, and we were betting dinners on if the Jets were going to beat the Leafs. Well, I won the first bet, and it's McDonald's, by the way. It's not an expensive restaurant. But what Premier Canoe doesn't know is how much I can down at McDonald's. It's going to be a hefty bill. And sure enough, we won the other night. So I absolutely love Premier Canoe. But this just goes to show you, he's politically misguided. I tell him all the time, I'm going to give him counseling. He talks like a conservative, but he's part of that Orange Party. But I think the world of him. I told him yesterday he needs counseling when I called him. But he's just a great guy. But my point to this story is, isn't it great that we're all collaborating, no matter if you're from the green, the orange, the blue, the red party? And that's what makes us different. That's what makes us different than our American friends, that fighting tooth and nail. I've never seen a country so divided, and I've never seen a country so united like Canada, from coast to coast to coast. Yeah, folks, we may have, our differences. Yeah, I'm a little ticked off of the PM, but he's coming over hopefully for a sandwich, maybe a pizza or something. We'll always have the bumps in the road, but at the end of the day, we're going to do what's right for not just Ontario, but for Canada. This critical transit link will be a lifeline for communities from Simcoe all the way to Muskoka, to North Bay, to Kirkland Lake, to Timmins, Cochrane, and more, connecting them to Union Station in downtown Toronto and to jobs and economic opportunity across Ontario. As we connect communities, we're also supporting their growth with record investments in housing enabling infrastructure. And this is so important, especially for the rural communities. Through our $1.2 billion Building Faster Fund and our $4 billion Municipal Housing Infrastructure Program, we are supporting the construction of over 800,000 across Ontario. Is our mayor from Cochrane here? I love his program. He's selling lots for $1, but what he needs is the infrastructure. So my acting infrastructure minister, please pay attention to these folks that have 500 homes that they can build. We need to get infrastructure in there first. It's absolutely critical across the north. It's not all about Toronto or all about the GTA. It's about people that can't access the infrastructure as quickly as people in these cities. Through the Ontario Community Infrastructure Fund, we're investing over $400 million this year to build and upgrade infrastructure in small and rural and northern communities. So please apply to that $400 million. It's absolutely critical. And through our Ontario Municipal Partnership Fund, which we have increased to $600 million a year, we are funding critical services like firefighting, waste management, and road maintenance in rural communities. And some of those roads are pretty full of potholes, but we need to be there to support you because the tax base just can't afford it. But this is where we have to step up, the provincial government, and give you folks the money you need to fix these roads and build new roads. Our government also continues to make historic investments in affordable and supportive housing, including $1.7 billion last year in initiatives like the Homeless Prevention Program to help people find a safe home and to keep our communities safe. Folks, we're investing, and I say it's an investment, it really is, keeping people healthy, $1.7 billion. And then over and on top of the $1.7 billion, we're also investing $550 million in 28 new homelessness and addiction recovery treatment that are known as heart hubs across the province. 24 of these hubs are already open, many of which are operating in rural communities. These hubs are providing supportive housing and addiction recovery and treatment services so we can help people struggling with addiction and find true, lasting recovery. These are just some of the record investments we're making to improve services like healthcare, which includes nearly $60 billion to build and upgrade more than 50 hospitals across Ontario. And I was thrilled to be in Niagara last November to celebrate the opening of the new West Lincoln Memorial Hospital. And just a few weeks before that, there's the group from Niagara, they're happy. And before that, I was in Kenora to announce our support for a new Lake of the Woods District Hospital, complete with funding for a new long-term care home. And we're going to keep delivering on these projects so we connect people right across the province to convenient and affordable care. So I call Sylvia Jones. She's the general. Where's Sylvia? Is she here, the deputy? She's probably out in one of the war rooms out there. But she doesn't allow me to go into hospitals anymore without her. Because your heart breaks for some of these hardworking people and the patients, and their hospital's 60, 70 years old. And right away, you know, I end up telling them, yeah, you're getting a new hospital. And I think I did actually in Aurelia. I was at some function, I announced a new Aurelia hospital, and I had to tell the Minister of Health that we're putting a hospital in Aurelia. It just slipped out. I thought we already announced it. So folks, if you want me to come to your hospital, more than likely you're getting a new hospital. So that's this, oh, am I going to be in trouble by the general? This January marks 1 year since our government launched $2.1 billion primary care action plan. And I want to thank Dr. Jane Philpott. Again, here's another example, working across party lines. And she has come here and did an incredible job with the leadership of Minister Sylvia Jones. But since then, these are pretty staggering numbers. We've already connected over 300,000 people to primary care, including in rural communities across the province. This puts us on the track to connect everyone in Ontario to publicly funded primary care by 2029. Our plan to protect Ontario could not succeed without the support of our rural communities and the hardworking men and women who keep our province going. I want to thank each and every one of you for all your support. It's a team effort as we work together to protect families, workers, and communities that we all serve. Let's keep working together and continue making Ontario the best place to live, work, and raise a family. Again, I couldn't do it without each and every one of you. Call me if you need anything. Thank you, and God bless the people of Ontario. Thank you so much.
All right, there you have it. If you have any thoughts or comments, leave them for me. We'll look at them. We do check all our comments and respond to them. Don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe. Have a good morning. We will be back.